GLP-1s, what are they? How does it work? Um, I honestly didn't do a ton of research into GLP-1s because they didn't really have anything to do with me or my diagnosis, right? So when I got first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I was, I don't know, 210 pounds, maybe 6'2". And I did lose 30 pounds. I gained 10 back in, well, hopefully it's muscle, right? But I wasn't obese or anything like that. So GLP-1 didn't really have anything to do with what my doctors wanted me to do. It was more about metformin and Jardiance and stuff like that, and really eating right, exercising, and things like that. But GLP-1s, you can't, I mean, they're everywhere, right? I think every other commercial is for a GLP-1. I think it really, if it isn't that, it's for another diabetic medicine. I get a lot of those at my house anyway. So I was like, you know what? I've never even looked into it because it didn't have anything to do with me, but let's do that and see what I find out. So did a little bit of research, and a GLP-1 is a peptide. So it's a naturally occurring hormone in your body, right? You have GLP-1s in you right now. They do important things, particularly in regulating blood sugar and appetite. Blood sugar, this is why the pharmacies went after this and tried to replicate it, because that's a big thing in regulating blood sugar, and then also appetite, because that helps you with your obesity. And if you cure both of those at the same time, wow. So here's what a normal hormone GLP-1 does, right? It stimulates insulin release. So when you eat, your blood sugar levels are going to rise. Whoop, that's how it works, right? You can't be flatline all the time. It's going to go up when you eat. Okay. So the GLP-1 tells the pancreas, hey, bud, let's get going. Let's release some insulin. The insulin will then go out into your system and grab that blood sugar and say, hey, come with me. You're supposed to be in the cells. Let me go help you get into a cell. And the insulin takes the blood sugar, puts it in the cell where it belongs, like your brain and your muscles and all that kind of stuff. And we have energy, and that's how it works, right? That's how it normally works. So that's what GLP-1 does for that. It also inhibits glucagon secretion. That's another hormone that raises blood sugar levels. So GLP-1s help suppress that so that you don't have high levels of blood sugar. It also slows gastric emptying. All right. You can look this up too. Just go to Google. But what that does is it slows down the rate at which food leaves your stomach. Why is that important? You want it because you want your food to kind of hang out in your stomach for a while, right? You don't want it to just be you eat something and automatically turns into blood sugar and goes wild throughout your body, right? You want it to slowly release it. That's why you're always, when you do some research on type 2 diabetes, which I'm sure you have, they're always talking about fiber. It slows down digestion, right? It slows down how fast the food gets into the blood sugar, giving your body a chance to react to it, and then having an overall better experience. But GLP-1s can do that, and they can make you feel fuller for longer, which leads to not eating as much, which, you still have to eat, but some people, we take advantage of that. We eat way too much. So gradual rise in blood sugar after meals because of that. And it increases that feeling of fullness. It acts on the brain. It sends to the brain a signal that says, you're not hungry anymore. You don't need to eat anymore. You're full, right? And it isn't just your waistband being like, wow, these pants don't fit anymore. It's telling your brain to do that. So due to this, when the people that are smart figured this out, and they said, what if we came up with this synthetic version of GLP-1 and introduced that into people, what would happen, right? And if I remember correctly, this was originally done, they were really just focusing on getting the pancreas to produce more insulin, right? So that you take care of your blood sugar naturally. The weight loss side of it, I believe, was an after effect. Like, kind of like, wasn't Viagra meant to help like heart disease or something, and ended up, well, helping other things. I believe that I believe I read that somewhere. If I'm wrong, I don't know. Right? But what they do is these drugs, the GLP-1s that you're seeing advertised, Wegovy and Ozempic and all those kind of things, right? There's a bunch of different classes of them, but in general, this is what they do. They mimic the actions of natural GLP-1 hormone in the body. So it's used to treat type 2 diabetes. They help lower blood sugar levels. How? Because they stimulate the pancreas to release insulin. The insulin goes in there and takes care of the blood sugar, which gets out of your blood and into the cells where it's supposed to be, which helps with weight management. It also helps with cardiovascular health, because you can have, by having your blood sugar too high, right, it can certainly affect your health and kidneys and a whole bunch of other kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that this synthetic GLP-1 does. The other thing is obesity. So they've been approved at higher doses specifically for weight loss in individuals with obesity or overweight with weight-related medical problems, meaning you're having heart disease, you're overweight. We'll take this. What it does is makes you feel full. Makes you feel full so that you don't want to eat anymore. When you eat less, you lose weight, right? I mean, that's calories in, calories out. This is just a medical way of doing it, right? It's basically tricking your brain and saying you're full. You don't need to eat anymore. There's a bunch of different examples that I can't pronounce hardly any of. Semaglutide, larglutatide, but you know these names, right? Ozempic, Rybelsus, Wegovy, Trulicity, I haven't heard of that one. Mounjaro, Zepbound, I've heard that one. But these are basically all kind of work in the same way. GLP-1 and the GLP, the synthetic ones, are also good at lowering blood pressure, improving cholesterol levels, reducing the risk of heart disease and stroke, slowing the progression to kidney disease. These are all things that are caused by that having type 2 diabetes can cause and make worse, right? So if you can use this, and if it helps with your type 2 diabetes by firing up that pancreas and getting that insulin going, in conjunction with maybe some other meds or whatever, they think that it could help you. Possible effects: reducing cravings, addictive behaviors. That's kind of preliminary research, but it's kind of very ridiculously interesting, right? Absolutely. They're prescription medicines. They can have side effects, nausea, things like that. People kind of try to keep eating the same, and it's not. Everyone is not a suitable candidate for these, right? And they're all injections right now. I believe they do it once a week. Maybe it's once every two, but you inject yourself. So you have this pen and you put it in your, I believe, your guts, and you shoot yourself. Now, people who have diabetes, we're not scared of a needle. Hopefully not. Otherwise, it'd be a bad day. But we're poking ourselves constantly. But they're also working on a pill form right now. This is what kind of got me thinking that maybe we could talk about this on this podcast, was that they're coming out with a pill form that they're working on. And I believe in the article, it said it won't be quite as aggressive. So it might be more of like a, I don't want to say safer, because I really don't know what the long-term effects of this, right? But I don't think it's going to be as effective. I don't think, taking a pill is slow release, right? Injection is like, hello, like it's happening right now. And hopefully less expensive for the people that truly need this. Hopefully it will be less expensive, because I believe that on average, these are like, with insurance, it's like $1,000 a month that people are paying for these drugs. And for people who really need it, we need it to be as affordable as possible. And I'm not talking about losing weight for wedding pictures, right? There's people all over the place that are losing weight. If what's funny is, right now, if you are a celebrity, or even if you just lose a bunch of weight, you see someone and you see before and after picture, and you're like, holy, you lost so much weight. Everyone thinks the same thing. Ozempic or whatever, pick your drug, right? And I'm taking a GLP-1, that's for sure. So like, people who lose weight without it, I got accused. Like, I didn't lose. I mean, I lost 30 pounds and it made me look really skinny, but a lot of people were like, you're not doing like Ozempic? I'm like, no, I'm eating better and I'm working out more. But what's the $1 million question, of course, is what are the long-term effects and risks of these drugs? And nobody knows, because they're new. I don't remember, and I don't keep track of medicines or anything like that, really. I'm not a medical person I'm just a dude with diabetes. But I don't know if I ever remember a drug getting on the scene and exploding like these GLP-1s have, right? From first hearing about it to it being advertised on every single TV station and every internet, YouTube video. It's all over the place so fast. I don't remember that ever happening. I mean, at one point we thought fen was okay too. Do you remember that? That probably aged me a little bit. Basically, it was speed, and they had to get rid of it because people are having heart attacks. But I do have a doctor friend. Now, this doctor specializes in obesity and diabetes, right? Because they kind of go hand in hand. But her main specialty is obesity and treating people with obesity. And the way that she likes to do it is her program is a lower carb, higher fat. Try to get the exercise in. Obviously, all doctors are trying to get you to exercise. None of us do. Some of us do, but most of us don't. But I asked her, I said, hey, listen, what do you think? Right? What do you think of these GLP-1s? And she said, I believe in them for the right people. Someone who, and I'm trying to get, this is not a direct quote, but this is basically what she said. Someone who is obese and has been for years is doing damage to their body, some of it irreversible. They have proven that they will not change. These drugs could add years to their life. So as someone who studies obesity and sees what it does to the heart and to just all the different functions in your body, and obesity can cause cancer, all these kinds of things, right? They're saying, even though we don't know what the long-term effects are, it's better than the alternative, which is just watching people die. So on that hand, I'm like, I don't really know what I think about these. My fear is for GLP-1s, and I don't have to take them, and maybe at some point I will. I don't know. I'd have to put on quite a bit of weight because I think my BMI right now is like 20. But what happens when you quit taking them, right? So you're taking this GLP-1, you're injecting yourself, and you're starting to lose weight because your body, because this synthetic GLP-1 is telling you that you're full, right? And it's also having your pancreas crank out insulin at a higher level, right? And to help with your take care of the blood sugar and everything. So that's great, right? But if you don't change, unless you're going to pay $1,000 a month for the rest of your life, I'm sure they'll get it cheaper than that. But what happens when you stop, right? Are you changing any of the habits that got you to the point where you had to take a GLP-1? Or are you just taking it and then as soon as you stop, you're going to go immediately back to what happened before? And will your body still be able to produce GLP-1 on its own, right? Because we obviously produce it. Our body makes the hormone. So by introducing the synthetic version, will our bodies still have the ability to produce GLP-1? I've always wondered this too. So, and especially when I started doing research on this, on GLP-1 and having that ability to, feel full, and how, if like, those people that do eating contests, like I follow a guy, I love him, Beard Meets Food. And there's another guy, is it a guy named Eli? Anyway, there's a couple of, and they're on YouTube and they eat like crazy. And no, I don't endorse that. And I couldn't do an eating contest because I'd be probably in diabetic shock. But I've always wondered if those people that can eat like the Nathan's hot dogs guys and all those, if they have a lack of this GLP-1, do they train it, or does their body just, like, for some reason they don't make this hormone so they can't feel full, just as long as they can shove it in, it works. I don't know. Another question is, will your overworked pancreas, because you will be overworking it, right, still be able to produce insulin on its own? So once you don't have this synthetic GLP-1, what's going to be left of your pancreas? Because, as your pancreas starts getting tired as you get older and you're running out of beta cells, what sort of damage will it do? Is it a shortcut? Is it a, get out of jail card that makes it okay to overeat and not exercise? Will we get to a point where you're like, hey, I'm going to do whatever I want, and yeah, I know I'm overweight, but at some point I'll just get a GLP-1 and it'll fix it later? I don't know. No, it's kind of interesting. I was very lucky. I was able to reverse my diabetes without having to make the decision to have a GLP-1. But if you are in that situation where you're like, man, I have nothing, I think I need to at least think about this. I would do your research. I would ask a ton of questions. I would find people that have already been on it to ask them questions. I'm sure there's support groups out there with it. And, but ask a lot of questions before you pull the trigger on it. And if you do, I hope it works out for you. I really do. We won't know the long-term effects until a long time from now, because that's what long-term effects are. I hope your A1C is down. Have an awesome day.